TectonicMusic.org is a global community of artists that maximize the healing power of music to support social good. They do everything from emotional powered concerts to and music to help chill you out. TectonicMusic.org! Somebody gotta slow that thing down, man. It's going way too fast. What's up, everybody? Grammy-winning musician, producer Dana Leong here. In today's video, I'm sharing my top 10 albums of all time. Let's go! This video is brought to you by TectonicMusic.org. TectonicMusic.org is a global community of artists that maximize the healing power of music to support social good. They do everything from live motivational music-powered events to customized music for licensing on screen and music to help chill you out. Check out TectonicMusic.org. Harmony heals. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share buttons, especially if you enjoy this content. It helps with the algorithm so we stay visible on this platform, and it's absolutely free for you. I want to thank my godsister, Janelle Umemoto, the former art director for Mademoiselle magazine at Condé Nast, New York City, for forwarding this idea. Honestly, I've been mulling it over for about a year on the back burner. And some of you may know, last year I landed in Japan to work on the launching of the most insane music studio man cave ever known to humankind, Studio Comme. I'll drop a link in the description below. However, due to the Rona, it became a mission and a half that elongated a 3-week trip to well over a year. Believe it or not, soon as the world went into lockdown, my first thought was to pull out my dusty to-do list from the past 10 years, which included old videos, beats, fitness goals, a cookbook, and a whole lot more, and finish it all. Thus, as surprising as it may sound, though I've been isolated for an unbelievable amount of time in the mountains, I haven't had any dull moments where I didn't have something to do. Thus, I regret the delays on getting to this video. However, the upside is that our video production had time to get much better. I also had more time to think about the music choices. Without further delay, let's dive in. Coming in at number 10, Boyz II Men 2. This album not only has a nostalgic and sentimental value to me, as you may know, there are scientific studies that have proven that music that you listen to in your formative years literally shapes who you are and stays with you in the deepest part of your brain's memory.
He didn't really talk to much people, and then when I introduced the music to him, this is his reaction ever since.
Henry, normally mute and virtually unable to answer the simplest yes or no questions, is quite voluble.
Do you like music?
Yeah, I'm crazy about music. You play beautiful music, beautiful sound.
What does music do to you?
It give me the feeling of love, romance. Figure right now the world need to come into music, singing. You got beautiful music in.
But some of our closest friends may also remember that when I was in high school, I was actually a member of the National Grammy All-Star Band that went to New York City to perform at Grammy Week, and we got to play this exact music with Boyz II Men. What more can I say? Incredible, life-changing experience, and it stays with me forever. Coming in at number 9, Notorious B.I.G, Life After Death. What can I say about Biggie that hasn't already been said?
I wish I had more hands so I could give those
albums
4 thumbs up.
Incredible voice, cadence, rhythm, storytelling, and just dripping with attitude and sound. If I had more than 10 slots, I'd probably put more of his albums, but for concentration's sake, I picked the double disc. My number 8 is Surfaces, Where the Light Is. In 2020, when literally everyone needed a reason to smile, this one came through. Just a generally feel-good hitter. Shout out to SoundCloud for suggesting this one. I can't believe how many amazing new artists I've uncovered just by going through SoundCloud. SoundCloud, if you're seeing this and listening and watching, let's create. Number 7, DMX. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. The legendary artist and brother Justin Bua always says, sometimes you need a bit of you energy just to get you through. I listened to this album so many times, banging it out of the race rocket, out the dorm room, and even through the last year when training hard through blizzards, mountains, tundras this winter. I can't remember if it was Dave Chappelle or another comedian that also said this music is insane. It makes you want to run outside and kill someone. Obviously, he was joking. but I can seriously say that this is one of the few albums that I can let play from the beginning to the end, feel jolted by the beats and X's explosive vocals, poetic styles, odd rhythms, and super animated rap style. R.I.P. DMX. Now don't go hating me for this one. Hear me out. Before you completely count this one out, ask yourself, what do Tupac, Willie Nelson, Biggie, DMX, James Brown, Bill Cosby, Paul McCartney, and a huge list of other artists all have in common? No, this is not a setup for a joke. They are all literally legendary artists who have had run-ins with the law. Now, I don't condone crime of any kind, but I certainly have to agree with Jerry Seinfeld and so many other comedians that say they can, in fact, separate the artist from the art. That being said, number 6 for me, R. Kelly 12 Play. There are so many albums I'd like to mention on this list, and it was a crazy challenge just to choose 10, and maybe I'll have to do a second video. Let's see. However, when 12 Play came out, you gotta understand, it was the peak of R&B pop and the height of artist careers like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Usher, Jodeci, Keith Sweat, Brandy, Aaliyah, Babyface, Jill Scott. The list goes on and on and on. All I can say is the production made by Korg Tritons and SSL mixing boards still hold up today. If you know, you know. Now that we live in the era where songs like WAP are being featured on national television, 12 Play may not be as much of a shocker as you would think. But you gotta roll the tape back and remember, this was your boy Deezy, maybe at 12 or 13 years old, hearing these gospel pop tracks with an unthinkably set of provocative lyrics. Get your groove on. Enough said. My number 5 is Allan Rayman, Hotel Raymond. It's been a good while since I've heard someone who truly takes a tasty take on the hip-hop pop vernacular. This dude has the beats, the guitars, the whiskey voice, and the album concept where every song makes sense next to the last. Hats off to Allan Rayman. Hashtag Cash Vegas. Coming in at number 4 is our boy James Blake with the self-titled album James Blake. Kanye West calls this guy the best singer alive. So angelic, and when he plays live, it's the same insane level as the recordings. What more can I say? Blake reminds me of the Chappelle bit where he brought his son to see Kevin Hart do stand-up comedy in an arena. And then he said,
so I took him to the show, and we sit right up front, the lights go down, and one opening act after another goes on. Then Kevin takes the stage. Crowd goes fucking nuts. Thousands of people. I was furious.
I love you, James Blake. I hate you, James Blake. I see the perfect balance of performance, an expert grasp on production, and an almost calculated level of simplicity that is absolutely infectious. Now, there's been an entire world of amazing live albums throughout the history of music, and I wish I could mention them all. However, for the sake of bringing you guys something that you may not have heard from an artist everyone knows, my number 3 has got to be Mary J. Blige, The Tour. As if Mary J. wasn't already singable enough for all of the masses, this album kicks it into high gear with an insane live band, great arrangements, all of her hits, and that real arena energy. There's levels to this ish, and this is it. Last year, I made a duet video tribute with this artist, and you may have already seen it and realized what a deep impact and influence this guy has had on my creative career. I also think that by now, you can see that I've decided to focus on music which I discovered during my adolescence, and I hope that this not only gives you a closer look into where some of my deepest musical influences and inspirations come from, but also expose you to some tracks that maybe you won't see on a pop playlist of tracks today. This dude has had so much influence on my life as a musician who improvises that I was inspired to do an improvisatory section of my high school graduation concert, and I literally wrote stacks of sheet music transcribing his music, which didn't exist before. Also, one of the few artists whose CDs I actually bought multiple times just to give to some of my closest friends in my closest inner circle. My number 2 is the Keith Jarrett Trio, Tokyo 96. When I was in college in New York City, this CD came out and literally everyone bought a copy. The level of telepathy between the musicians and the amount of spontaneous and magical moments are perfection. Also, the balance of melody, harmony, and rhythm heard in this album is something I have strived to create in my own music since day one. Keith, for sure, is a weird dude, and a perfectionist and a stickler for absolute silence from the audience. But without a doubt, when you hear him play, you recognize that something great is going on. Finally, coming in at the #1 spot is the Koln concert by none other than Keith Jarrett again. I told you this guy was a big inspiration for me. So much in the fact that he's the only artist I put 2 times in my top 10 list. The Koln concert is perhaps one of the most famous of Keith Jarrett's fully improvised solo piano concerts. I can really describe this recording as a spiritual event, as the tone of the piano, the melodies coming out of this man's performance are nothing short of legendary, life-changing. As you know, I am passionate about discovering the healing benefits of music. But what I have not come out to say so much publicly is that this album has been with me since I was about 16 years old, and it has helped me in so many ways feel closure during difficult chapters of my life. Maybe it also will for you. Who knows? Let me know. There are a lot of questions around how this album was created and why it was different than Keith's other albums, and I'm sure you can find those stories online. But for me, I always like to keep in mind how Keith goes through a multi-day meditation leading up to these kind of spontaneous concerts, and how we are all capable of greatness that can change the universe if we stay mindful and place powerful intention behind every action. For those of you who have stuck around till the very end of this video, huge thank you. I realize you could watch almost anything at all, especially now with so much content coming online every single day. If you've made it to the end of this video and you've enjoyed the content, drop a comment with the secret phrase, infinity, to let us know you've made it all the way to the end. And if you found at least one new enjoyable album out of this, then my job is done. Also wondering, what are your top 10 albums? Can you separate the artist from the criminal record? Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share buttons, especially if you enjoy this content. It helps with the algorithm, and we so much appreciate it as it keeps this content visible to you, and it's absolutely free. Until the next time, my friends, peace. TectonicMusic.org is a global community of artists that maximize the healing power of music to support social good. They do everything from emotional powered concerts to and music to help chill you out. TectonicMusic.org! Somebody gotta slow that thing down, man. It's going too fast.